This episode is brought to you by Criminal Guard. Criminal Guard isn't just a Jiu Jitsu apparel company. They support gyms, schools, and organizations. They sponsor local athletes, helping them to chase their dreams. Who doesn't want to wear Al Capone while you're smothering and tapping out your friends? Support small business and support your local community. Go to criminalguardclothing.com and escape like a criminal. Laura, we know you as Laura Kent, and then we know Jon as Thor. So I'm going to start with you, Jon. I want to know why the heck you got the name Thor.
So I got the name Thor on my second day of Jiu Jitsu, I think. At the time, I had really long blonde hair, and it's kind of all fallen out since. But, when I was 19, it was down to my shoulders, and it looked really nice.
Oh.
And I was in pretty good shape when I came in, and the one dude, the second day I came in, he's just like, yo, we're going to call you Thor now. And I was just like, okay. And, there's a lot worse nicknames to get.
For sure.
It just really stuck right away, and, it just kind of.
Yeah.
So
I would say most men would not be upset to be called Thor.
Yeah, exactly. It's
like,
just
oh, man.
Yeah, I'll take that, honestly. It was like the first nickname I've ever been given, so it was like, cool, I'll take it.
And it just stuck.
Yeah, and I mean, now that my hair's like all falling out and I got like big old bald spot, like it doesn't really work, but whatever, we're still going with it.
Yeah, you still embody the essence.
Yeah, exactly.
The essence of Thor. So now, if you guys don't know, the two of you are married. Correct.
Yes, we are.
You guys met in Jiu Jitsu?
Yeah.
You want to tell the story, Laura? To give us like a little background so we understand.
Well, I was a blue belt when I started training at 10th Planet Bethlehem, so I
Okay.
wasn't like originally there, but Jon was there whenever I started.
Right.
And I was driving like 2 hours each way because I lived out in the Harrisburg area, actually.
Okay.
And Jon and I were teammates for almost 2 years, actually, before anything happened. He had some other girlfriend, actually, like his high school girlfriend that he was with for many years. So in my head, he was just kind of like
taken
off limits.
Yeah,
Didn't even really think about that. Also, he was Thor. So.
Right. Oh, did he have the hair when you met him?
No, but he had like, I mean, he was one of the, like, obviously Bethlehem's best competitors.
Right.
Like, he was already kind of like, he had, right before I started training at Bethlehem, he had beat Oliver Taza from Danaher Death Squad. So it was kind of like
He's
a big deal. Yeah. Honestly, I didn't even know who Taza was at the time. I just knew who Danaher Death Squad was because of like Gary Tonin and stuff.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so he was, impressive. And actually, before we got together, he also won Ultimate Mat Warriors out in San Diego, and I was like along with the team for that trip. So yeah, he was kind of like a
off
I don't know.
Limits.
Yeah.
Like, you never saw that like happening.
I didn't think he'd be interested in me, nothing like that.
Right. So then what happened?
Well, obviously him and his ex broke up,
Right.
and like shortly after, I think he like said something in conversation about his ex moving out, and like I didn't put it together at the time. I even thought like maybe she went to college or something. They were like kind of that age.
Yeah.
But then I think I saw on Facebook or something like his status said single, and then everything kind of
Just
changed in my head. Yeah.
Aww.
And really our like what I think of as like our first night that was like, oh, he might actually be interested was Kasai Pro. He went against Ryan Quinn, who was like another Danaher Death Squad guy.
Yeah.
And he got like a really impressive sub, and we like talked all night, and
Aww.
yeah.
So it was more of a friendship first.
Yeah, I would say that. We definitely had like, obviously I even kind of knew him as like the boyfriend to someone else, and I always kind of like thought of him as like a solid boyfriend type and just like, I don't know, a good character kind of man.
Aww. So it was just kind of worked itself out.
Yeah.
I feel like that's the best case scenario, is to like be friends with someone first.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's like kind of risky. I mean, it worked out for you guys, but it's risky to date in the gym. So were there any like hesitations from either of you not wanting to like mess up your like space?
Yeah. Do you wanna?
I feel like the rule is you get one.
That's fair.
You get one. If you're gonna date somebody from the gym, you get one. If it doesn't work out, you had your one.
Now what? Now is there a loophole, Jon? Like, what if you date one per gym that you go to? Like, say you date and then you switch gyms.
I don't know. Like one in I wouldn't do that. One in the jiu-jitsu community in the local area.
You heard it here first.
I don't know. Yeah.
Well, that's the thing.
fair.
I had to,
It is, yeah.
the first night that we did kiss and kind of like cross the friendship
Yes.
boundary, I was kind of like, we need to
Shit.
make a pact. Like, I'm driving all this way already
Yeah.
to go to this gym. Like, the gym meant a lot to me.
Right.
And like, obviously he was already very established there.
Yeah.
So I was kind of like, no matter what happens, like
Right.
the gym comes first.
That's
like,
so
can we
fair.
have that? And obviously it's never come to that, but
Yeah.
I was like, you
Yeah.
know, I wasn't driving all that way just so that I would have to like leave then
Of
if something
course,
went
yeah.
wrong. So
Right.
yeah.
Which, let's back up a little bit. So you don't live or did not live close to 10th
No.
Planet.
No, I lived in central Pennsylvania.
So what was bringing you to that gym originally?
It sounds stupid, but kind of Grace, I guess, was the first.
Oh, okay.
Basically, when I was a white belt, right before I was about to do my first competition, I signed up for gi and no gi, but there was like basically a non-existent no gi program at the
Right.
gi gym that I was at.
Right.
So one of my friends like brought me out to 10th Planet Bethlehem for a random Labor Day open mat right
Right.
before that competition. So I got some no-gi training in and I had like such a fun time. And yeah, then like basically a year later, I had just gotten my blue belt.
Right.
And that's whenever I started like making the trip out there.
I see.
Because I was like, oh, great, at Naga now I can get heel hooked and I don't even know what that is.
Right.
And this school is not going to teach me.
Yeah.
So, and I kind of had it in my mind, like, what if I go against some 10th Planet chick that like knows all these moves and like I don't know what I'm doing.
Which honestly, because you had no jiu-jitsu experience at this point, right? This was like your first real experience with jiu-jitsu, right?
Yeah.
Like that year. So like how did you even know about, like, for me, I didn't even understand what 10th Planet was and how it was like different until like years into jiu-jitsu.
Well, I guess how I got into jiu-jitsu was like through, at least partially through like Joe Rogan, and he has Eddie Bravo on a lot, and
So you
like
knew.
the Eddie Bravo Invitational was a thing, and I was already watching that. And like Grace had a couple super fights on the Eddie Bravo Invitational when she was really young, so she was like kind of already like the name out of
Right.
10th Planet Bethlehem.
So
I
you
guess.
were like well like researched, like you had researched
Yeah.
in some way.
I was into submission only no-gi very
cool.
early in my jiu-jitsu career, even though I was at like a
yeah.
traditional gi gym.
That's cool because I feel like I knew zero and just kind of like literally like when people would talk about 10th Planet, like I didn't know what that meant. I was like, I don't know what you guys are talking about. I
Yeah.
didn't know anything. Like I didn't know that there was a difference between like 10th Planet gyms and other gyms. I didn't know you guys only did no-gi until probably like a year or more into jiu-jitsu. It was just
Yeah.
because I just didn't care to like look into it, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of nice that you came in like honestly understanding like the culture and the differences. You
Yeah.
know? So I guess shout out to Joe Rogan.
Well, yeah, I will say all of my teammates at the gi gym had no freaking clue who I was talking about. I'm like, Gary Toonin this and like
Right.
EBI that.
Like,
And they're
huh?
like, excuse me?
Right.
So yeah, I was kind of like an outcast there, honestly, before I got with
Right.
10th Planet.
Right. And then, John, was your first experience in jiu-jitsu at a 10th Planet gym?
Yeah, I started at 10th Planet Bethlehem for with jiu-jitsu. I
did,
wrestled
okay.
before that and like, you know, knew what it was obviously.
Right.
But it was like the first one that opened up in Bethlehem. And I had been looking for a jiu-jitsu gym for years before that, but it just, you know, it was too far away to be driving when you're in high school to
Right.
go like an hour down to Philly and shit. So it was like, you know, as soon as they opened up, I was kind of just like, you know, take my money.
You were like obsessed with it pretty early
I
on?
signed up like before they even had a sign up and stuff like that. Like as soon as I saw that it was open, a buddy actually saw that a place opened up. He called me and was like, yo, there's a 10th Planet opening up in Bethlehem. And
Yeah.
I remember I went that night and did my trial, and then I like signed up like a couple days
Oh,
later.
wow.
Yeah, I was into it.
That's cool.
Because like I had like researched what jiu-jitsu was when I was wrestling in high school, and I was like, this looks freaking cool.
Wow.
And like
nice research.
I got it. Well, I don't know. Like
I'm impressed. I'm like, I didn't do that.
I
I
found
just
it-
walked in.
like I got into it all from watching like old Pride fights on YouTube and stuff like that.
throwback, yeah.
yeah. And then that's how I just wanted to start doing jiu-jitsu. And as soon as I found a place that was close enough, I just was like, all right, let's do it.
The roof is on fire. Hopefully yours isn't. But if you do have any damage, call CC and Sun Exteriors. They specialize in damage repairs, emergency roofing, and roof replacement. They're certified and licensed and serve all of New Jersey and Pennsylvania. Don't wait for bad weather. Get ahead of the storm and call CC and Sun Exteriors. That's 609-605-3399. 897. And don't forget to tell them Jits and Giggles sent you. Right. And you just said you wrestled in high school, so you had that going for you, which
helps for sure.
Yeah, some of us just got smashed the first day. So you were exposed to jiu-jitsu, you enjoyed jiu-jitsu. When did you decide you were gonna, be a competitor?
I don't know. I didn't really want to compete at first.
Okay.
I kind of just was doing it as a hobby, and then Zach was kind of like, you should probably compete.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. And, it went well, and I had a lot of success, so
I love how nonchalant you are. Like, that's how you know you're good at jiu-jitsu. He's like, I'll just go in. Like, most people, that's not how they are. Like, my first white belt competition, I was going to vomit and, like...
Yeah, I mean, I had,
nerves.
a couple hundred wrestling matches before
right
that.
That's
I
true.
wrestled
that
since
helps.
I was a little kid, so
yeah. And from what wrestlers have told me, which tell me if you feel like this is true, do you feel like in wrestling you compete so much that you were just kind of like conditioned for that type of atmosphere?
You compete all the time. It's part of the game. Like, I remember we used to try and get, like, in between seasons over the summer, the goal would be to get at least 50 matches.
Wow.
Like, you did a lot of matches.
That's insane. Yeah, at that point you're like, I'm used to it.
Yeah, you just kind of do it.
No big deal. Whereas like the average person like me, it's like you go out there and it's like, I've never like competed in anything but a team sport, so all of a sudden all eyes are on you. Like, that's terrifying. You know. Now, how about you, Lara? When did you start competing?
I started competing at white belt, actually. Like I said, it was, I think, my birthday weekend. So that's why, which is in September. So that's why it was right after that Labor Day open mat that I went to Bethlehem.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess I knew from the beginning I wanted to compete. I've always just like had a kind of competitive edge to me.
Yeah.
Actually, also anger issues. I think that definitely helped get me into jiu-jitsu, and like it was a good outlet for me as far as that goes.
Yeah.
So yeah, I started competing at white belt, and I've just kind of kept up with it ever since.
Were you kind of like John, like, did you just kind of like love it immediately? Or
no.
Okay.
I mean, I wasn't like good. John and I have had wildly different jiu-jitsu journeys.
Which is cool though.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, I've taken my time. I've never been like a good competitor. I just like am a like people look at
it. That is so humble of you.
I mean, you say
that,
well, people don't even think about it, but like overall, I have lost more matches than I have won. But like people still think of me as like this competitor person because I just keep putting myself out there.
Right.
And like even as a blue belt, I was like trying to get an expert belt at Naga so hard, like going against brown belts and stuff like that.
Good for
so
you.
Like I've just kind of always taken whatever matches come up.
Yeah.
Like, especially as a bigger girl too, you just have to take those opportunities when they come.
Yeah.
So
it's hard out here. But I like that. Like, it shows your tenacity, and I think it's cool that you guys do have different experiences because somebody can relate to each of you, right? Like, great that John is like this natural athletic superstar. And there are a lot of people in jiu-jitsu that are like him, truly. But then there are I would say even more people like you that have to like actually work really hard to just get to a certain level, and even if you never make it maybe to the top 10%, you still do it because it's fun. Like, it doesn't matter if it's like your career, you know what I mean? You're just doing it because it's fun. But you're actually good at it too, Laura. Like, well, maybe give yourself a little
I do
credit
feel
there.
like I hit a little bit of a stride last year with my competition mindset, and like I got a bunch of subs, and we're doing all right.
That's awesome.
There's always work to be done.
Yeah. Do you pick each other's brains when it comes to stuff like that?
No.
He said, no.
What do you mean when it comes to competing?
Like with competing, like, are you like running things by John?
No.
No?
She definitely. No. We
Really?
No.
No, we don't really talk about strategy.
Really?
Like that. No.
I would think that you would.
He's lying.
I was gonna say, there's no way. Like, when you have a match coming up, you don't talk to each other about like.
I mean, I guess we do a little bit, but also like at this point, I have.
You kind of know what you're.
I know what my game is.
I see.
Yeah, he might give me like little tips here and there, but not.
Yeah. What about if you lose? Do you review? Do you sit down and review like what went wrong?
Not really.
Really?
No. I mean, I usually know.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, so you're not the type of person, because like I've talked to different people and everyone handles it differently, but some people told me that they'll like sit down and like it might take a few days, but they eventually review the video and try to figure out like how to not have the same mistake happen.
Yeah, I mean, I'll watch it again. I don't know
Okay.
how much I asked John's advice.
Gotcha.
I
You
guess.
don't.
That's so funny. That's so interesting. Now, do you ask other people, or you just don't ask? You just kind of look yourself, and you just kind of know what to do differently next time.
For myself, I talk to Zach.
Okay.
Like when I lose a match, I've been like the last one I had lost. I was like, "Yo, Zach, what do I do?
Gotcha.
I couldn't do this. I kept screwing this
you
up.
pick
Blah,
his
blah, blah,
brain.
blah, blah." And then like last Wednesday class, he gave me a piece of advice that's like a 3-word answer, but it's like, shit, he's right. Because then we drilled it, and it's like, yeah, he's right.
Gotcha.
So
that's kind of your mentor.
that, for me, that's who I go to. Yeah.
That makes sense. Do you two roll together? Not really. No, because
we have more lately. I'll say that.
Is there a reason why?
I don't feel like it's hard when you're in a relationship with someone.
That's why I'm asking this question, because I agree with you.
Because I know he's going like 25%, and I'm still just like, everything hurts and I'm dying.
Yeah.
And like also just, I don't know, I think I probably like read into his like facial expressions and reactions too much and get in my own head.
Yeah.
'Cause like, even though he is my husband, he's also like whatever, higher ranked, and like I also look at Zach as my coach, but like really John's kind of my coach too, and obviously I want to impress him and like that kind of stuff. So it just puts like extra
pressure.
Yeah, and emotion into it.
Yes.
When I start to get frustrated more quickly when I feel like I like don't know what to do, or I'm doing nothing. Like my roles with him go way worse than like anyone else. I look like trash. Like I don't know jiu-jitsu.
No,
I feel like
I'm asking because like I've asked a few couples, and actually most people have the same answer as you, that like they usually fight more with their, not fight, but you know what I mean, like get frustrated easier. And like for me, I gave this example before in an episode, like that's how I feel rolling with my sister. Like we're so close that like I could roll with a stranger and they could like accidentally punch me in the face, and I'm like, oh, don't worry about it. But I roll with my sister and she like accidentally grabs my wrist too hard, and I'm like pissed off, I'm like angry. And I just think when you're really close to somebody, it almost makes it more difficult to do things like that.
Yeah.
So that's interesting.
For sure.
So we're not rolling together now.
We do, like I said,
often.
we've been rolling more often lately. We've also had like, little accidents and stuff. Like I broke my toe very, very badly rolling with him.
Ow.
I needed a pin in it for 8 weeks.
Like really bad.
Really
Holy
bad.
crap, yeah.
It's never gonna be the same again.
Yeah.
Mildly traumatic.
That'll do it.
Obviously it wasn't his fault.
Yeah, it just happened.
But just like I just get nervous sometimes.
I totally understand.
But I mean, yeah.
John, how do you feel rolling with Laura?
I'll roll with her sometimes if like I can tell she needs somebody or something like that, and I'll let her work. But sometimes I don't want her to get mad at me, so I won't roll with her. Yeah, straight up. Yeah, it's hard.
I love it. I feel like a lot of couples are gonna listen to this and be like, "Yep."
Yeah, there's some days where it's just like she's gonna get pissed at me today, or like I'm trying to get some more work in today. Like I'm not gonna go with Laura.
Or you could use the mats to like figure out a disagreement that you're having at home.
And I'm always
you're like,
gonna
you
be
will do
right.
those dishes. That's right. Yes. I like that. Okay, I won't torture you. Let's pivot. So, I want to talk to you about ADCC because obviously you were very heavily competing in ADCC. I don't know what your stats are at this point. You've been to Worlds a bunch of times.
I was only ever at Worlds once.
Oh, once? Okay.
Yeah.
Trials, how many?
I did trials in 2019. I got third, and then I got invited, and I did well.
That's what it was. Invited.
I had an invite then in 22, but then I tore my bicep like a couple weeks before, so I wasn't able to do it.
Gotcha.
So yeah, I was supposed to do it twice, but
you went once.
when
was the last year that you did it?
I only did 2019.
Okay,
yeah.
But you haven't done a trial since.
I did trials in 13, I guess, or 23, I guess it was. Okay. Yeah, and I didn't do super well in that one. And then I was going to do West Coast trials, but then I got hurt again. I've been hurt a lot lately. Man. That's mainly the main thing.
Yeah, right? Do you are you thinking about doing the upcoming trials?
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, 100%, yeah.
Do you prefer ADCC rule set?
Not really.
No, what do you prefer?
If I'm gonna be real, I kind of like a judge's decision. I do like that. I like that. There's parts of everyone I like. I'm gonna be real, but also they all have stupid rules too. Like ADCC's like needlessly complicated.
Yeah.
Like it's really really complicated, and I don't want to have to study 8 million matches to know the rules.
Right.
I'm gonna be real honest.
That's understandable.
But then like IBJJF is a little more defined with things, but like they also have some dumb rules
and confusing rules.
Yeah, and I don't know why we can't just like that's why I kind of like Judge's decision, because it's just like it's kind of hard to game that unless you have biased judges.
Right.
If you have fair judges who really don't care about either guy, it's usually the fairest in my opinion. But
so
that's just me.
You like CJI?
I like CJI rules, yeah.
Okay.
I like CJI rules. I like who's number one.
Okay.
I like how Fight to Win would do it. That it was just it's sub only, but at the end we're gonna pick who's winning. So that way, if one guy's just like dicking around the whole match, not doing anything, like he's just gonna lose.
Right.
It's like we don't have to do like EBI overtime where it's like, okay, this guy did nothing and then he gets my back now. Like,
you're like, what the heck is happening?
Yeah, like what are we doing here? But
yeah.
And then like some of them, or like points and stuff like that. You can game the system, but I feel like it's hard to game judge's decision unless they're biased.
Yeah, and that's the problem, right? Like to your point, is like finding judges that
aren't biased. Yeah. I mean that's always
it's
tough
like finding
thing.
a jury.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Like what's the process?
It's like in an ideal world, I think it's the best, but it's not an ideal world.
Yeah, you gotta hook them up to a lie detector.
Yeah, right.
Are you involved in 10th Planet's finishers? Like in like setting it up and behind the scenes,
like the
I assume.
Tournament you're talking about? Yeah. Zach does most of the like the matchups and stuff like that. Like Zach's the idea guy for sure with that, and then I'm kind of the guy that just like makes it happen on the day. That kind of like does the table and just like helps with that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So like I don't know. I prefer doing it that way. Zach's really really good at like the ideas and stuff like that and talking to people. Zach's way better at that than me. I kind of am good at just like the day of like
setup,
making sure people are doing what they're supposed to.
Gotcha. And I know, Laura, you're involved too. Now, do the three of you, or even more than the three of you, do you discuss like changes in like rule set? Like for instance, like CJI rule set, all of a sudden did you guys kind of sit down and discuss if that was a good idea? Or is that all Zach?
That's Zach.
It's all Zach.
Zach was like, I'm gonna be
You're both
real.
like, nope.
Zach's like, I think we should do CJI, and I'm like,
okay.
Yeah. I kind of let Zach do his thing. I defer to Zach in a lot of decisions with that.
Yeah.
Like we're partners, but like he's still dad is the joke around the gym. Like he's dad. He has final say.
Right.
So it's like, whatever Zach wants. I usually just kind of help along with it.
Right.
Unless I have a strong opinion.
Do you have any strong opinions
sometimes
when it comes to the gym?
No, I kind of let Zach, do most of the decisions at Bethlehem, and I just kind of,
Gotcha.
if there's something I need to say, but
yeah,
he's usually he's great at ideas. He's great at what he does. So,
yeah. Do you feel like the recent change to CGI rule set has made a positive difference?
Impact, yeah, for sure. I feel like people are liking it. Like, a lot of people don't like EBI rules, and I understand why they don't like EBI rules. And the CJI is kind of fresh and new right now, so it's like we'll try this, and like we might go back to EBI rules for certain things at certain times. We still do that for our opens.
Yep.
But sometimes it's fun to do something new.
Yeah. So now, as far as 10th Planet goes, and this question is for both of you, when was the last time you put on a gi? He passes the mic.
The last time I put on a gi was when I was a purple belt, so at least probably 3 to 4 years ago, maybe.
Yeah.
Actually, Hillary from Inverted Gear. I don't know if you know Nelson and Hillary, but they run the Inverted Gear company, and they also have Inverted Gear Academy.
Okay.
It was her birthday, and Nelson was kind of like, "Hey, Hillary's teaching class. Like, I'm inviting some of the girls." So I put on a gi for Hillary. And even took a gi class.
Oh my gosh.
I know. And actually, it just reminded me how much I do not like the gi. But I did do it.
But you did it.
Yeah.
John.
The last time I put on a gi was the first time, and it was at the opening of Inverted Gear Academy because we went over to support Nelson and Hillary, and it was the only time I've ever rolled in the gi, and I had a blast. Yeah, it was fun.
Okay.
Yeah, I just got fried before it and then just went for it. You know, I had a blast. You know, it was a great open mat. And it's like, we were just joking around. Our buddy from Essential, who's like more into the gi, Marcus, is opening up a school. He's opening Heritage BJJ. And we were saying how we want to go to his grand opening and just go do the gi with all the Essential guys.
Yeah.
And just like, we're going to get our ass beat, but it's going to be fun.
But it'll be fun.
Yeah.
So you guys do have a gi somewhere in the closet.
I'm borrowing Renee's for that. We talked about that. I said I had to borrow one.
Are you like Renee? Like, are you wearing the gi pants around for funsies?
No.
Okay. He's like, hard no. Laura, are you wearing the gi pants around?
Also no. But I do have one white gi from my gi days that I have held on to over the years that still just like hangs in my closet just in case.
That's so funny. Listen, you're preaching to the choir because I hate the gi, but I mean, I do try just because like I'm not at a 10th Planet, so it's like we do have gi classes, but it's like, God, it's so hot and uncomfortable. Like when people say it's pajamas, I'm like, I don't own pajamas that feel like that. They're so uncomfortable. They're stiff. They're itchy. I'm sweating profusely. I don't like people gripping me up all the time. I'm not a gi person.
Yeah.
I would like to be.
greatly limit my leg mobility and
Yeah.
hips because like invariably they will always start to fall down and then your crotch is like 5 inches below where it actually should be and I can't open my legs like to retain my guard like I need to. So
I don't know if it's because we're on the taller side, but like it's I never have found one that's comfortable or that fits correctly.
Yeah, it doesn't work out.
So absolutely not. Now, have you guys ever taught? I assume you've never taught a gi class.
No.
But you both are coaching at 10th Planet. Or no?
I just teach the women's class on Saturdays,
Okay.
but John teaches at both schools like all the time.
What's the other school again?
I run 10th Planet Allentown, and then I help Zach over at Bethlehem.
Okay. So you're going back and forth between the two.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Would you ever want to open your own?
But I do have my own.
Which is
Allentown's mine.
Oh,
yeah.
it's yours.
Yeah.
Oh wait, I thought Zach.
No.
He only does Bethlehem.
Yep.
And you only do Allentown.
But
Or
I do Allentown, and then I help out at Bethlehem.
Okay,
yeah,
so
Allentown's
Zach
my
owns
thing.
Bethlehem, you own Allentown,
Correct.
but you kind of like.
I help over at Bethlehem, and we're like sister schools. You know, I don't know, like.
Okay, I knew they were intertwined, but
Yeah.
I actually thought that Zach at least part owned both. So now I understand. So it's like 1 and 1.
Yeah, it's confusing because we
That makes
got
sense.
like 4 schools in the area basically.
Yeah.
Because then there's the Reading 10th Planet. Then Zach has his like a little small thing up in Stroudsburg, which is Fisher's
Okay.
North.
That
So
is
like
confusing.
we got a bunch. It's confusing.
Especially because like I'm never up there, so in my head I'm like, where are all these gyms?
Yeah.
And I've only been to one.
It's all across the valley, but yeah, we got.
Okay. Now, when did you take ownership of Allentown? When was that?
I started that like 5.5 years ago.
Okay.
2018, something like
And
that.
how did that work out? Like you started at Bethlehem with Zach, and then at some point you just were like, I want to kind of go off on my own.
Yeah, that's kind of what it was. I started at Bethlehem with Zach, and then we had talked for a while. He always wanted there to be, you know, more schools in the area and
Right.
to grow this thing and to build the finishers empire, as we've always joked. And that was just the next step to it. Was when I won EBI, I had a little bit of extra money then, and it was like, well, let's put this into a school and see what happens. And you know, it was a good decision in the long run.
Now, how far apart are those two schools?
They're about 25 minutes apart,
Okay.
about 20 miles.
So are you having students kind of bop between the two?
Yeah, we do that. We have a lot of people
Cool.
who like live in Allentown but work in Bethlehem or vice versa, and then they go to both schools.
And you kind of, I assume you have some type of like
Yeah,
deal.
we have like a
Very
cross-training
cool.
thing. Yeah, it's
Oh, that's really cool. So you guys have like a campus almost. Like,
yeah, it's pretty
very
cool.
cool. So now you and Lara were together when you opened Allentown, correct?
Correct.
So that was a conversation that the two of you have.
Yeah.
Now, do you help run it, Lara?
No.
It's all him.
I mean, he opened at from the beginning, and yeah, it's always just kind of been his baby. Like the women's
Right.
class that I teach is at Allentown.
Okay.
But also like I work full time, like 9 to 5, and then I have
Right.
like my massage business on the side. Like
Oh,
I'm
wow.
busy.
Yeah.
So like I train at Allentown half the time, but then at Bethlehem half the time. It's like I
Gotcha.
still consider Zach to be like my main coach. Like he's
Right.
who we both started under.
Right.
So Zach teaches 2 nights a week at Bethlehem. I try and make sure to make those classes.
Gotcha.
And then like other nights I'm at Allentown. Kind of,
That's so
you know.
cool.
But
I like
yeah,
that.
we're all together. A big finishers family, as we call it.
Yeah, but then finishers is always just at Bethlehem.
No, finishers is
God.
the whole.
Okay.
No, she's saying the tournament.
Yeah, the tournament.
Oh,
sorry.
the finishers
Yeah,
sub
yeah, yeah.
only. Yes.
Okay.
Sorry.
Bethlehem's a much bigger school, and we just do everything there because
Gotcha.
it's the bigger school.
Yeah. What were you gonna say though? What do you do at Allentown as far as finishers? Were you gonna
we
say?
still call it finishers.
Oh,
Finishers is just like kind of our umbrella that also includes like the MMA guys, you know, because
Gotcha.
they're not like 10th Planet Jiu Jitsu technically if they're just doing
Right.
striking. So like finishers MMA was 10th Planet Bethlehem's like code name. I don't
Okay.
know. Like
I know. No, I'm glad we're talking about this because I'm not gonna lie. When I see the 20,000 Instagrams, I'm like, what is what? I'm so confused.
We're finishers MMA in affiliation with 10th Planet Jiu Jitsu. That's the way
Gotcha.
I describe it for a business purpose.
That's helpful because I get the Instagram like it's like Bethlehem, Allentown, finishers. It's like so many different things, and I'm like, who is what? And I'm like, but now I understand. Okay, and I think if I was out there, it would also make more sense if I was like going to each place. Now I gotta check out Allentown because now I realize. I think I thought they were all the same, but now I realize I was just at Bethlehem. But now I need to check out Allentown sometime.
Anytime.
Yeah, that's awesome. So now, how many coaches are at your school, John?
At Allentown?
Yeah, is it
it's
just you?
mainly just three of us.
Three of you.
It's me, my assistant, Quinn. He's like my number two for all the jiu-jitsu stuff over there.
Mm-hmm.
And then Artis Smith is our kickboxing coach over there.
Cool.
And then we have like one or two other guys who help out. Jeremy teaches a class. Andy Scott teaches a class.
Very
but
cool.
we try and keep it mainly just me and Quinn teaching the
Gotcha.
jiu-jitsu.
And then Laura, you teach women's
And Laura for women's class.
for
Yeah.
women's at Allentown.
Yes.
Got it. Okay, I think I understand. So now you said you're about 5 years in.
Mm-hmm.
Do you like owning a gym?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Best job I've ever had.
Really?
Fuck yeah.
And you're doing it full time, or
Yeah, now I am, yeah.
That's awesome. What would you say is like the most difficult thing that you didn't expect to be so difficult about owning a gym?
That's a good question. I don't know. Some of the stress, like when I moved my school in 22 from a smaller location, we moved to a bigger location, and like the permit stress and like all that bureaucracy of getting it open that second time. Because the first township I was in kind of was like, we don't really care about much.
They were laid
And
back.
the second one wasn't. So it was a little stressful. That was probably the biggest thing I've had. But
But everything else is pretty cool.
yeah.
No issues.
Yeah.
Huh. Wow. You're the
Yeah.
first owner to ever tell me.
Dude, I think
John commands respect.
Yeah, you're
So
also
we
very
don't
laid
have
back.
a lot of problems.
Oh, okay.
I think it's more a lot. I don't know. I shouldn't talk shit. But a lot of gym owners haven't had a shitty job that's like a soul sucking. They hate it every day, but you do it job,
Right.
and they don't realize how good they have it sometimes.
That's fair. So are you saying that you had a really
Yeah, I
sucky job?
I had a job I really didn't like for a long time, and like I worked all the way through when I competed at EBI and ADCC. I was a union electrician, and I
okay.
would work like 60 hours a week, and yeah, I didn't like it. And it
I don't blame you.
ran my life because they'd be like, "Hey, a storm's coming. You're staying for 16 hours." Tonight.
Oh,
And it would be like, "Hey, you're working the weekend. So
Right.
Shit blew up."
right.
And it would just be like, dude, I gotta train, I gotta do this. Like I remember like the week before ADCC, I had to work all this overtime. I cut my hand on a drill and shit like
Ugh.
that. And it's like these guys who are like just like training all the time and then started a gym. They like I don't know. That grind made me like appreciate being able to run a gym so much more because it is a very easy job in comparison.
Yeah, and even enjoyable, I
Yeah,
imagine.
fuck yeah, yeah.
Yeah, how do you deal with like disagreements in the gym?
We don't have a lot of disagreements.
Really? I gotta come to this gym. No disagreements? This is like heaven.
No, I don't really.
Really?
No, I don't. Not really.
It's just that laid back and
We
easy
try.
going.
I
That's
mean,
amazing.
yeah.
Laura, is that your perception? Is it really that chill?
I think, yeah, at Allentown, yeah.
At Allentown, we
Wow.
don't have much. At Bethlehem's a bigger school, so occasionally we'll have some things over there. But, just talk to the guy,
Wow, good for you. Are there women and men at your gym?
There are.
No, that's like really impressive because I mean, even like no matter what you do, there's usually like some type of issues that you have to figure out. But I
Yeah,
mean,
no,
that's
I
impressive.
really don't have many complaints. I mean, like, there's issues always. There's shit, like, that, you wish didn't
Yeah.
happen and this and that. But, like, it's minor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like you said, in the grand scheme of things, coming
Yeah.
from another job, you're like, it's no big deal.
I'll deal with this rather than, getting called out at 1 a.m. and working, 16 hours and then not getting a train and crazy shit like that. Like, yeah, no way.
Do you have to market quite a bit, or was business just kind of coming naturally?
Naturally, word of mouth.
Wow, I need to move to Allentown. You guys it's like just, easy going.
I will say when he opened the gym was also like when he was kind of blowing up.
Gotcha.
Like the timing coincided very well.
That's great.
Like he won EBI, he won 20 grand.
Right.
He was in ADCC like literally right before.
Right.
Like we were working on construction, finishing up the school right before he went and competed in
Gotcha.
ADCC. That was September of 2019 for ADCC, and we opened 2 weeks later in October.
Yeah. So there was momentum.
Yeah, I would definitely say. And I mean, even after that, he's had like a bunch of big, like he's been on Polaris squads a couple times and like different. I definitely think that being like a high level competitor helps the gym sell itself a lot.
Yeah, definitely.
That did a lot of the work. I would agree that, a lot of people open a gym, without much of a name, no offense to some people, but I did a lot of things there, and that kind of did the work, and like it also didn't hurt that Bethlehem was already an established school in the area,
right?
And we were the sister school. That was a lot of it right there too.
That makes sense. I would even go as far as saying like just being affiliated with 10th Planet.
That definitely
that
helps.
right there.
Like I remember back in the day, like I remember at Bethlehem on the waiver it used to say, "How'd you hear about us?" And about a third of them said Joe Rogan.
Oh my god.
Yeah, no, for real.
Do you think it's still like that to this day, or do you think that ship's kind of sailed?
And what do you mean?
Like with the Joe Rogan hype, like do you think people are still finding jiu-jitsu through him?
I think people will find it other places.
Yeah.
I think, I think Danaher said it once where he was like, Joe Rogan's done more for jiu-jitsu than probably anyone else. And
yeah.
He's right. Like, yeah, that's 100%. And it's like, because he got so many people into it back in the day. And like, I mean, I remember seeing that kind of stuff when I was like in high school still, and I was watching like pride fights on YouTube and the algorithm,
Right.
But,
Right. No, that makes sense. So now we'll switch to you, Laura. So we were saying before I started recording, like you're very involved in all of these different, what would you call them, camps?
Yes.
So, okay. So I'm once again confused. So walk me through, because you guys do so much. Walk me through what you do.
Okay, well, I guess it kind of started because, like, way back when, like, before Bethlehem was in the current location, the big location that we use now for the finishers sub only, even back then I was doing, like, women's open mats, so I kind of gathered, like, a bit of a women's community following from that, but then once we moved into the bigger location, I had the idea of doing, like, a camp.
Okay.
And actually, Amanda, our good friend, Amanda Levy, was the first person that I talked to about it. And, like, she was the main person that I had in mind as an instructor because I kind of felt like she was super underappreciated at the time. Like, this was before her Gabby Garcia match. And, like, obviously she'd already been in ADCC and, like, she won trials, beat Maggie Granati. But, like, I still kind of felt like she was flying under the radar. And, like,
she still is, I think.
And again, us bigger women don't get that much attention to begin with.
Right.
So, and also, like, Brittany Elkin had started training with us because she was doing her fight against Clarissa Shields. So, like, things were kind of coming together where I was like, okay, let me get, like, basically some of my good high-level friends together and, like, run this no-gi women's camp because there are, or at least when I started it, there were women's camp options, but, like, I don't train the gi. I'm not paying $600 so I could sit out half of camp.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I'm not putting on the gi just for you guys. Sorry, I don't want to do that.
I agree, though.
So basically I created it for, like, selfish reasons, but also because I wanted to see my friends get paid and, like, appreciated a little bit.
I love it.
And yeah, it kind of worked out really well. I want to say Nicole Matthew is the one who brought up Fatima Klein's name. Okay. So the first camp was Amanda, Brittany Elkin, Jess Bermudez, who had been on EBI and also is just really good high level, and then Fatima. Very cool. So 4 instructors, 2-day camp. It sold out. Like, I wasn't even sure what would happen. I basically told the instructors, like, hey, I could definitely pay you this amount.
Yeah.
but if it sells out, I could pay you this amount,
right.
You know, that kind of thing. So luckily it sold out.
And this was what year?
It had to have been 2021 because
Okay.
we had moved locations that March into the bigger Bethlehem.
Right.
And also, timing wise, it worked out perfectly because I already had the instructors nailed down, and right before the women's camp was Amanda's match with Gabby Garcia. So then that's when everyone was like,
yeah,
they
wanna be
okay.
a part of it.
Yeah, so that obviously helped. I'm pretty sure Fatima also won her Medusa right before this camp. So basically, like, I
Everything
picked these
was-
girls, and then
yeah.
everyone was doing cool stuff,
Smart.
and like it definitely helped push the camp.
So now this is at Bethlehem, you said. So this was something that you kind of just like ran an idea by Zach and was like, what do you think about this?
Yeah.
Because I just want to point that out because I think it's important that when, you know, owners give a little bit of leadway into these new ideas, because honestly, it was taking a chance, and look how it turned out, you know?
Yeah.
So that's
Zach
really
has
cool.
always been super supportive.
That's
Although I
great.
will say I do it like on my own budget. It's
Okay.
so like basically I was the one taking the risk, really.
see.
The school wouldn't have lost that. I would have been the one to lose
Oh,
money. The
yeah.
first two camps I didn't like make any money myself. It was mostly just like off of this idea.
Yes.
But as things have continued to grow, I've like been able to pay myself a little bit.
Good for you.
Because
yeah.
now we've had 5 camps total. I did one in 2021, one in 2022, one in 2023, and then 2 last year. But that was a mistake because those were my first 2 that did not sell out. And I think you just kind of have to withhold from women a little bit more to make them want things.
I see.
Because the same thing...
John's like,
The
noted.
same thing happens with the open mats too. I actually just have my first women's open mat yesterday, but I didn't have any in 2024 because they kind of started to get like lower attendance and like
Right.
people just take it for granted if you're doing
That
it all
makes
the time.
sense. Yeah.
You
It's
gotta
like anything.
make it like a special,
Yes.
or else they'll be like, "Oh, I'll catch the next one."
That
you know,
makes
that
sense.
that kind of thing.
Yeah, and that makes sense because that would be me. I'd be like, oh, but if I know it's only like every so often, it's like,
Yeah.
oh, well, I don't want to miss it. So that makes perfect sense.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
the East Coast No-Gi Women's Camp is back to one time a year. And
When
I'm
is
going
it?
to be doing it in the fall, probably October. But I also try and, like, I have 3 out of 4 of my instructors nailed down. I still need 1 more, but I'm also going to wait a bit to get the date nailed down. Because, like, one year, for example, I nail the date down, and then, like, No-Gi Pans gets announced for that
Right.
weekend. And, like, I try and avoid stuff like
Clashing,
that.
yeah.
Because, I mean, I want to go to No-Gi Pans, too.
Yeah.
And, like, yeah, then it just kind of cuts down on,
Who can attend?
yeah.
Yeah. So you said it's 2 days? Is how you do
Yeah,
it?
Saturday and Sunday is how I've always done it. And I kind of run it around, like, both sessions are all in the afternoon. So Zach doesn't have to cancel classes at Bethlehem.
Nice.
Like, they just run their regular schedule, and I've always kind of worked around that.
That's great.
Oh, and the last couple times, he has scheduled a finishers sub-only event for the Saturday night. So, like, all of the women
Yeah.
get free entry, and they're able to come and hang out and, like,
That's
watch
so cool.
matches. And
Yeah, I remember that because I was at a
Yeah.
finishers and it was going on now that you mention it. That's very cool.
yeah.
That's awesome. So now what, like, explain to us, for people that are interested, what does it kind of look like?
Basically
expect?
each day, well, it's 60 women typically if it sells out.
Wow.
Even the times that it didn't sell out, it was still like 50 women. So
Yeah.
a lot of women, all no-gi, obviously. I usually try and get 4 instructors, and I always try and make sure that at least one of them is like one of the larger women, because like I said, I feel like we're kind of underappreciated, and I
Yeah.
like having a variation of sizes.
Of course, yeah.
Because a variation of sizes attend camp too,
Right.
and then it's really nice to kind of represent everybody.
Yes.
But each day there's 3 hours of instruction, and like basically there's a main and 2 main instructors and 2 secondary instructors. The main instructors teach both days,
Okay.
and then the secondary teach like one of the 2 days.
Oh, okay. How many hours a day is it?
3 of technique, but then each day there's also an hour open mat.
Oh, wow. So we're talking 8 hours total.
Total.
That's
yeah.
amazing.
So Saturday it's like 2 to 3, one instructor, 3 to 4, another instructor. Then we do like a 30-minute break, and then 1 more hour of instruction, and then the open mat.
Very cool. Now, do most people come from far away and they're like booking a hotel or something like that?
Some people definitely get hotels. I would say most people come from driving distance, but we
Okay.
have had people fly too.
Oh, wow.
So
that's impressive.
Yeah. And I mean, a couple times I've flown in some of the instructors too.
Oh, wow.
So yeah.
Wow, you guys are growing. And you said this has been going on, remind me again, since when?
4 years now,
wow,
I guess.
that's impressive, Laura. Good for you.
Since 2021. So
yeah.
And I've had Brianna St. Marie was an instructor one time. So Paige is another big one that I had as an instructor.
Yeah.
Love her.
No, I appreciate you doing that because there's really nothing else, at least not around here. There's nothing like that going on. So it's nice that you do that.
Yeah. Well, I also feel like, especially as individuals, women have, like, unless you're Kendall or Fionn, such a hard time, like, getting seminars and, getting paid.
Yep.
Even though, they've got a lot of accolades and that kind of, Amanda's been in ADCC twice. Granted, now she's getting a lot more seminars, so
yeah, she
very
is.
happy
But
about
even now,
that.
I tell her, I'm like, I still feel like she's underappreciated. Like I've only known Amanda for like less than 3 years, and sometimes like she'll just be talking about stuff she's done, and I'm like, you did that too? I'm like, why are you not like I feel like she could be bigger, but we'll get into that another time why I think she's not. It's not her fault. I think, well, I'll just say it. I think it's because she doesn't shake her ass on Instagram. But, I'm like half kidding, but I do think, unfortunately, as women, there definitely is a higher following if you present yourself in a certain way. But I also love that she just has a I don't give a fuck attitude. Like, she doesn't really care if she has 5 followers or 500,000. She's just kind of herself, which I love.
Yeah, for sure.
But I think what I really love about the seminars that you do is like what you just said. It's not only good for the people attending, but it's good for the people who are actually doing the seminar. So it's like you're just helping out everybody, like 100%, which is really awesome. So thanks for being so awesome, Laura.
Thank you.
What would you say is like your next goal for the camp? Like, you've already had like some superstars on. Like, is there anything you have in mind that you want to like take it to the next level?
Oh boy. Honestly, no.
You kind of feel like
it's funny because
be.
I feel like I went forward a little bit, but then I kind of went backwards because, like, actually the one camp Fionn was going to teach at, but then she kind of pulled out of that. And, like, that was kind of made me go back to the original idea behind the camp, which was to get the more underappreciated.
Yeah.
Like, I got a little caught up in, like,
that makes sense.
getting the bigger name every time and, like, that kind of thing, especially because I started so strong with the first camp and, like, Amanda beating Gabby and, like, all that kind of stuff. I kept feeling like I had to one-up myself. But the truth is, like, part of the camp purpose is to keep it super affordable. Like, it's only $200 for the 2 days. Lots of camps are like $500, $600, $800, you know.
And I know Fionn's expensive because I set up a seminar for her. So
well, that's the thing. I think she kind of, like, between the time she agreed and the time the camp was coming around, like, priced out of my budget range. And, like, obviously she can get paid a lot more from a lot of other people, so good for her. But, like, I still wanted to focus on the people that are in my, like, I don't pay anyone different. That's one of my, like, I'm not going by accolades or this is my flat fee. I can pay you this much per hour. Is this okay with you? If it's not, that's cool. I'll find someone, you know, more like on the cusp that this is a big opportunity to them. Because those are the people I'm kind of looking for.
Yeah, I like that. That's very, like, transparent of you. And again, you're helping out, like you just said, you're helping out the people that need the help. You know?
And like even the finishers sub only, Zach has always said it's kind of more of like a feeder tournament, getting people noticed by EBI and like all of those higher level, you know. I kind of look at my women's camps similarly where like they get the pictures and a little bit of content from Quentin, because I always have him come and do his photos and stuff, and like just kind of get noticed a little more by doing something different. And I still think it's a very valid amount that I pay. It's just not like I can't pay you $5,000.
Right.
You know?
You have to, you have to,
not
reasonable.
whenever I'm keeping the price what I am, which I don't intend on raising it. So.
Right. Because to your point, you could pay more and just raise the prices. But that kind of defeats the purpose of what you're trying to do.
So, but I kind of look at it as like, the Fionns and the Kendalls, like, they've got those other high paying opportunities. So I'd rather pay people, you know, like Nicole Matthew, Marissa Pacelli. This year I had a lot of people, Chrissy Briggs, cool. Beatrice Gin, like people that I feel like aren't getting as those kind of opportunities, but are still like out there killing it in high level competition.
Yeah.
You know?
That's really cool.
So.
What else do you have going on?
Oh, jeez.
Tell me.
What else do I have going on?
You're like, just a million things.
Well, the Finishers Survivor Series is coming up, and I'm excited about that.
Yes.
But I also have my own team thing that I'm about to do.
Okay, explain.
So 10th Planet women have their own women's camp.
Yes.
It's called the Femvasion.
Okay.
They had 2 last year, one in Boca Raton, Florida, one in South Bay, San Diego. All of the instructors are 10th Planet black belt women.
Okay.
But any level rank can come, and non-10th Planet women can come.
Okay.
But anyway, their 3rd one is coming up at the end of March. It's at 10th Planet Austin in Texas, and they're also doing a quintet, much like we're doing for
Very
finishers. But the difference is they're doing a combined weight. So my big butt was able to get on a team. I found a few small girls that are willing to balance me out as far as the average.
Right.
So, yeah, because the total is like 700 for 5 women. That averages out to 140 pounds. And I'm like 170.
Right.
So I needed like 2 125ers that are 15 under to make up for my 30 pounds.
Yeah, which like
extra.
Crazy that 170 is like in this world is like big because it's not. But like
my height unfortunately puts me at a
tall.
disadvantage weight wise. In my 20s I used to cut down to like 150, but that doesn't happen anymore. So
no, it's not.
But so I'm excited about both quintets, the one that Finishers is doing, and then obviously the one I actually get to participate in.
That is so awesome. And now explain the Finishers one.
The Finishers one, it's also quintet. So quintet style is teams of 5. And the way that we do it is there's like a weight limit. So the weight limit for the Survivor Series, which is the Finishers one.
Per person.
Yes. Each person has to be 145 or less.
Yes.
So it's not like a combined total type thing.
Yeah.
So yes, unfortunately, us large ladies are out of the running for the teams.
Right.
But then it makes it more likely that some of the smaller girls will, the 115 and 125 pounders. If you put it too high, I think it makes them more nervous.
Now for that, it's 145 as the cutoff per person, but then there's not a cutoff total of the 5, right?
Correct.
So so they could all be
145 times,
essentially.
5.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool. And what is the date for that? Do you know?
That one's March 2nd.
Okay.
So beginning of March, and then the Femvasion one is at the end of March.
That's so cool. I think I'm gonna come up for that. I was talking to Zach about that the other day. I wanna come up and do some interviews. I think just to like learn a little bit more about it. Awesome. Now, what about you, John? What do you have coming up? Anything?
Not really.
Nothing?
Not really, honestly. I don't really have any competitions. I've been trying to figure that out lately.
Yeah.
But
put it out here. What do you want to do?
I don't know. I was looking. I signed up for the. I do want to do Fury. I was like, wait,
there you go.
I thought you said Yuri. I thought you were doing the Denny Prokop. The Denny Prokop of Yuri. I was like, what the fuck are you doing? But no, I want to do that eventually if they ever. Yeah, whatever.
At Jonathan Webb.
That I signed up for the New York IBJJF Open in April.
Oh, there you go. Nice.
I'm hoping that somebody signs up in that Virginia one that's on March 2nd as well. So
I was gonna say that's the same day.
But I want to do something like just IBJJF Opens or something. But I don't want to like go fly somewhere that's like forever away.
Okay.
And like all the ADCC Opens right now are like the next one before in like springs in like Portland or somewhere.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm not going to Portland.
Yeah, I think there's an Orlando one.
That's not till like summer. Yeah.
July. Okay.
Yeah. So like I don't know, like definitely doing that one, but like that's like further along.
Yeah.
So like I don't know. Hopefully do the Virginia one in March because I'd like to get back to competing around that time. But I don't know. Most of my goals just involve the schools. Just
a little more focused on that.
Yeah, just doing things around the schools and things like that.
Very cool. Now, like when we're thinking like bigger picture, would you ever be interested in doing like CJI or anything like that?
Yeah, sure.
You're like, call me up. I'll do it.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I gotta do other things first before something like that would ever happen, just because I've been injured so much lately.
Right.
That, I haven't really done as much.
Right.
So like I do
want to
do more like that and that kind of stuff. So,
yeah. Win some other tournaments.
Yeah, and see what happens, and it's like, I'm just competing for fun, obviously I want to win, I want to do big things, but like, it's, if that happens, great. If it doesn't, it doesn't.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to put you on the spot. What do you think about Naga paying women a quarter of what they're paying the men? Have you and Laura talked about this together?
I mean, she's mentioned that she's pissed at Naga because they're not paying women enough. I don't know, though. I don't know. I'm going to be honest. I don't follow those kind of things.
Okay.
I mean, I guess it's not cool. But
he's like, please don't come for me.
Yeah.
He's like, he's like looking at me for advice. I'm like, say it's bad.
It's bad. It's very bad. Yeah, I don't care about Naga.
Well, just to fill you in,
they're not paying women.
They're not paying women. They're paying for, and correct me if I'm wrong. So
you know who does pay women just as much as men is the Finishers Opens.
That is
you should
true.
Come do the Finishers Opens.
There you go.
They're cheaper, and we pay women the same.
I like that pivot.
And it's sub only, so you won't get screwed on stupid points. Yeah, I don't know.
That was
good.
Yeah, so me and Laura talked about it because Laura, and Yara, whoa, tongue twister, we're talking about it because they announced that they were paying. We were all like, woo, they're paying.
Yep.
Which, first of all, it doesn't affect me because I'm not doing advanced bracket anytime soon. I'm just angry because I'm a woman. But then we looked at the price and we're like, or the payout, we're like, wait a minute. At first we thought it was half, which was bad enough. We were like, oh, boo, we're getting half. Then we looked into it and they're paying $250 compared to $1,000 for the men.
Yeah.
And we're like, what in the hell is going on here, Naga? So your answer is come to Finishers.
Yeah, come to Finishers. That's
Laura,
a safe answer.
You want to add anything to that?
I mean, obviously, yeah, come to Finishers. But the problem is Finishers, I feel like the women's divisions do not always fill out. I'm signed up for the...
Well,
I know. Well, my thing is, Naga, I've been a big supporter of for many years. Like I said, I was trying to get a Naga expert belt as a little blue belt baby. Just like, I want that belt because I thought the belt was so cool.
It is.
But yeah, it's a little upsetting because I've multiple times brought like groups of women to Naga Wildwood because a lot of women do sign up for that one specifically.
It is a good one.
Since they do it every year, I feel pretty confident that like people can get reasonable matches.
Definitely.
Like I was able to get a match there last year, which even one match for me, like that's a big deal.
Yeah.
You know, if someone's actually my weight class.
Right.
So, yeah, it's a little disappointing. I feel like I have to boycott them now. But we'll see what happens by the time Wildwood rolls around. Because that is a good one. And I hate giving up opportunities to compete. I like their rule set. Yeah. Because they actually give points for sub-attempts.
Yeah. I mean, hey.
It's one of my favorite things.
And
they were letting heel hooks fly.
Yeah, you can do pretty much. You could do so much more than some of these other local tournaments. I mean, listen, I told Laura, I'm like, I'm competing in Naga next weekend, so you know, I might be angry, but we only have so many choices. You got Grappling Industries or Naga, pretty much. That's it. And then of course Finishers. And I was telling Laura, with Finishers coming up, I wanted to do something to like kind of, you know, just like prepare. And I'm like, well, the only thing before Finishers around me is Naga. So I'm like, I guess I'm doing it. Yeah. But like, just annoying to know that that's how they kind of run their stuff. So I hope they make a change. Maybe like all of us griping, they'll make some changes. But time will tell.
Well, yeah. And I saw Kat said like, because they put a limit on the registrations. That's what really gets to me. Yes. Like if you're going to require 4 people to register in both brackets, why would the amount be different?
Yes. And just like I said
literally just because you hate women.
Yeah. Well, quite literally because it's like, to your point, yes, if it was, what do you say?
Yeah, it makes it extra shitty that it's to the 4 and 4 then.
Right.
Because it's like the only like reasonable excuse you could have is to be like, well, there's going to be less women sign up, so that way we can't pay as much.
That would make sense.
That was my only thing that I thought is like a reasonable argument. But if it's 4 and 4, it's fucked.
Exactly. Thank you. He was like,
confirmed. Like, John Blank doesn't like it.
He's like, I gotta get that in there. No, but like that's exactly what I was saying to Kat. Like I don't want to beat this like a dead horse, but it is not fair because it's like you're giving the exact same. Somebody messaged me actually. A girl messaged me and was like, well, I talked to a promoter and they said it's different because women pay less. And I looked on the website and I just want to announce, no, we don't. It's the exact same price. We pay the same entry fee as the men. It's the same limit or minimum, I guess, to sign up. So it should be the same price. And I'm going to leave that there. All right, let's talk about pet peeves, or I should call it, what's the word I told you?
Controversial opinions?
Yeah, controversial opinions
hot take?
Hot takes, yes. What do you have? Anything?
Oh, gosh.
Come on, Laura.
My controversial opinion is CJI rules is not my new favorite. I still like EBI, guys.
Oh, okay.
People, I know, even John doesn't agree, and people will hate me for it, and that's okay. My opinion is boring grapplers are gonna boring grapple in
true.
any rule set.
Fair.
Whenever EBI first started, I feel like they picked all of the people that were like, it was different back then. There were way less opportunities.
Yeah.
People are hungry to make a name for themselves. EBI originally, you don't get no money unless you sub in regulation.
Right.
Which that also made a big difference. You know, Jon got 20 grand because all of his subs were in regulation.
Right.
If you ride everything out until overtime, you're not getting any money.
Right.
Since then, they've changed the pay scale. So now everyone gets like a default X amount. And then once you get past the first round, you get a little bit more, you know, stuff like that. So that changes things because then, I mean, and obviously if there's no money on the table, people are even more likely to stall to overtime.
Right.
But I don't know. I think it allows you to like open up a little bit more. CGI, in my opinion, is just for people with really good cardio. And like that doesn't necessarily always mean that you're the better grappler. It just means you're more athletic.
Right.
So
How do you feel about that hot take, Jon? Do you think EBI is better than CGI rule set? Do you have an opinion?
I prefer the CGI rule set.
How come?
Like I was saying earlier, I think it's harder. Like Laura made, you know, boring grappler going to boring grappler. You know, there's not much you can do about that.
That's fair.
But I feel like, you know, it's harder to do that in CJI, or at least you just lose at the end instead of getting my back, you know. But no, I mean, it's a fine opinion.
Aw, you're so nice. Now, what's your hot take? Do you have any?
Yeah, like people always are like, oh, technique's the most important. It's all about technique. I disagree with that completely.
Oh, okay.
I think it's a lot about, I think being in shape, it's a lot.
Oh, okay. This is an interesting hot take.
I think that's at least as much as being technical.
So just to reiterate, you're saying that like you can have great technique, but if you're not in physical shape, it's not going to matter.
Doesn't mean nothing.
Okay, I want to challenge that a little bit. I'm not saying I disagree. I'm just challenging it because I'm not going to also call anybody out for being out of shape, but we can all envision there are some people that I would say are not in the best shape and are whooping butt at competitions. So
but how much better would they be if they were actually in shape?
That's a great point. Yeah, definitely.
You know, it's kind of like car and driver, you know, like if your technique is like, you know, how do I put this? Like you could be like Marco Andretti, you know, you could be a great driver. Yeah. And if I put you in a Honda Civic, and me, who's not a great driver, but you put me in a Ferrari, right? I'm a win.
Right. That's fair. So okay, so then I see what you're saying. So I thought you were saying like technique doesn't matter as much as being shape. I think you're saying that like
just as important.
Just as important.
I think it's just as important.
Okay.
And like I think every sport has a mix of how much physical ability it is and how much technique it is. Yeah. Like a sport like baseball, that's like massively technique. Yeah. Like you see guys with pot bellies playing baseball at the professional level and crushing it. Yeah, that's true. You know, but they are not in good shape. Yeah. You know, but then there's a sport like football that if you aren't a 1% athlete, no amount of technique is going to make you in the NFL.
That is true. But
jiu-jitsu, a lot of technique can make up for a lot of not being in shape, and a lot of being in shape can make up for a lot of not having the best technique.
No, you're right.
You get what I'm saying?
But then I will say, like, being in shape is a very general term because are we talking like stamina?
No, yeah, like
muscle?
I'm saying like when I say in shape, I'm not saying like, you know, jacked or anything like that. I'm saying like you like when I was a kid, they used to say being in shape is 5 things. It's, you know, physical strength, muscle endurance, cardiovascular, flexibility, and body composition.
So you're talking about that as a whole.
Yes. If you are, those things are just as important as, you know, technique. Because you see, everyone's seen that athletic white belt or blue belt wrecking black belts.
That is true.
You see that all the time. You see that all the
And I think also you see that with age differences, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Like you can have like
this is turning into a real young man's sport.
Yeah.
Like gymnastics almost.
Right.
Like the younger, more flexible people who haven't taken the injuries are going to. It's true, dude.
Okay.
I mean, you see older people doing it, but like it being in shape is like 90%. It's a
Laura.
I agree with the in shape part, but I guess my disclaimer is the age thing is less who's in better shape because they're younger. If you're even in your 40s, you could be in really good shape still. I think the age thing, the difference comes in when they're a blue belt or a purple belt, but low key have been training for 10 years because they started as a child. That's why the younger ages are starting to kind of make the difference. It's mat time. I think it's because really I'm always a big proponent of like age is just a number. Like I'm 36. I just did Nogi Worlds. I signed up for adult. I don't care. I'll hang with these young kids.
Hell yeah.
And I feel like I'm still just getting better and getting in better shape than I was even whenever I was in my 20s because I'm working harder.
Right.
So I think like the shape thing for sure makes a difference, and that just plays into my CJI. It's just for athletic people. But yeah, I'll pass it back to Jon.
I mean, I definitely agree with what you said about like the younger generation. Like it's definitely like gone are the days of like being able to start when you're 20, doing it part-time, and getting to 80 cc in 5 years.
Right. They're starting younger and younger.
I don't know anyone who did that, but yeah, like it's like these kids who have been doing it forever now because they're the generation that it's been available since they were a child.
Yep.
You know, that wasn't a thing when I was a child.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
But yeah.
Yeah, and that is why when you get older, you just got to switch to gi, guys. No, I'm just kidding. But I have heard, like, a lot of people I've had on the podcast that are, like, in their 40s and 50s, like, they do actually prefer gi because they can slow down these young guys.
I definitely think when I'm older, I'll start doing it.
Yeah.
You know, for sure. But I'm not at that point yet.
Yes. No, you're not. Any other hot takes you have for me?
No, I mean, that's definitely my hottest take.
Oh, Laura?
What about half guard isn't real?
Oh, tell me.
I mean, I don't want to say it's not real, but like most of the time, if somebody's playing bottom half guard, it's out of desperation.
Gotcha.
You know,
Last resort.
Like I always say, that's like where good guys go to die. You know, but like I remember back in the day, they used to like show us like starting in half guard and like trying to like use it offensively. It's like, dude, so many people are just gonna put their shoulder on your face and say no, and that goes back to being in shape.
You're like full circle.
Yeah, right.
So when you let's talk about the being in shape real quick for anybody
like
listening.
So when I say that, I mean like being like physical and like using being strong, having good cardio, being physical, being athletic, being the dog, whatever you want to call it.
Are you saying that you need to do things outside of jiu-jitsu to obtain that, such as like strength training and things of that nature?
I think if you want to be good, yes.
Okay.
Yes,
yeah.
I do.
Because I think we get a lot from jiu-jitsu, right? Like we get our cardio and even our flexibility. Yeah, but I would say like strength training is important to like combine with, right?
Like so there used to be a sign at the first gym I ever worked out at, and it was really, really true. And it had a picture of a guy golfing, on an old guy golfing, and it said, working out makes you better at what you actually like to do. Oh. And that's very true.
That is very true. Yeah. Like functional fitness kind of thing.
Yeah, like just being stronger is going to make literally everything easier.
Yes. I can't remember what they call it, but you know, like the whole argument going on right now between like different ways to learn jiu-jitsu. What is it?
Ecological.
Thank you. Ecological approach. Do you have any opinions on that? Since it's like the hot topic.
So everyone has their own opinion, but people have been doing this forever.
Yes.
When I was a kid, we called it play wrestling, you know, when we wrestled, you know, but it's, you know, it's live drilling. It's what it's games. It's whatever you want to call it. But my ass, you're going to take somebody from nothing and just be like, play these games and they're going to get anywhere. Like, why would I don't fully agree with that. I think you teach somebody and then you let them play games with it. That's how we teach. That's how we've always taught. That's how I've learned since I was a kid. It works. But if you're just like, yo, figure it out, like
through concepts.
One, that's lazy as shit. Two, like if I was like how could I own a school and my whole class is just be like, starting an underhook, figure it out. Like I'm the worst instructor ever. Like, you know, no, I'll have 0 students.
Right.
You got to show them some things, you know, and then you let them play. And I firmly believe after you've drilled for, you know, a long time, if you've drilled for, you know, 6-7 years, you've done all the things, I think then you can mainly go to playing games instead of doing so much drilling, but there's still moves that I see that I'm like, I have to drill that until I get the mechanics of it down,
Right.
and then I'll start, doing games or hitting it on blue belts. Like that's the same thing,
Yeah, that was going to be my follow-up question. Do you feel like as you're in the sport longer and longer, you drill less, more, or same?
I like static, like traditional drilling,
Yes.
definitely less.
Less.
Definitely
Okay.
less, yeah.
Yeah.
More, like I said, unless it's like a new technique that I'm trying to get the mechanics down. But if it's like something I have the mechanics down of, like I'm going to be mainly working in like live, or like, like I said, if I'm rolling with like somebody that I'm significantly better than, then I can just kind of practice.
Yeah, like play around a little bit.
Yeah.
Do you have an opinion on the ecological approach, Laura?
Yeah, I mean, it's basically the same opinion, but I'll also just say, like, I think they stress a lot this idea of just like teaching moves, and I feel like good instructors are teaching more than just moves already. Like they're also teaching concepts.
Yes.
And I mean,
Yeah.
a good instructor will tell you like, hey, this works really well for me.
Yeah.
It might work differently for you, that kind of thing. And there's always room to play,
Yes.
and like kind of come up with your own way.
Yeah.
But yeah, if someone didn't tell me, honestly, a lot of the things that I know now, I never would have gotten there by
Right.
myself. It already took me 10 years and I'm still a mediocre brown belt. So yeah, I think it would have taken me way longer
To figure it out.
And I think Zach said something along the lines that was like, he's seen the difference when you give someone like that one little extra tip. Hey, if you just did it this way, this would all be way easier for you because you're trying to do this. And then it makes a huge difference in their game. And I think, even if it's not a move, just a detail.
How many times has somebody given you that one detail that they're like, hey, put your wrist
Yes,
here
yeah.
instead of here, and you're like, oh, I'm a fucking idiot.
Right,
Like I've
right.
had so many of those in my life, and like, how are you going to get that if you're just playing games and you don't have somebody like actually helping?
Yeah.
You?
Yeah, and to your point, like if I think about one of the earliest concepts I learned, which I've only been in jiu-jitsu for 2.5 years, is knee to elbow. I feel like that's a concept that even now when I'm like stuck, I'm like, okay, I know that works. You know what I mean?
Yes.
That's a concept you could teach someone first day in jiu-jitsu. But I think it depends on what you're teaching. I think bringing a white belt or even a blue belt, even a purple belt, and being like, all right, we're going to teach, I don't know, a heel hook. And the concept is keeping the knee line. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like you need to go through the details, at least for me. But I will say everybody learns differently. But for me, I think most of the time I need a little bit more details to understand.
For sure. Please walk me through it. I'm one of
Exactly.
those step-by-step people.
I would love to be a concept person, but my brain does not work that way.
Can I say one more thing real quick?
Go for it.
My other gripe with the games thing is like it's so dependent on your partner and how willing they are to like follow the constraints
That's
of
true.
the games. And the
Yes.
difference in your skill level. Like
Yeah.
I'll say even like doing games with Brittany, like she's a good black belt. She's a little bigger than me, stronger. And like every time I have an objective, I am not accomplishing said objective. Is this making me progress? Because it never feels like it. I'm like, whatever the goal is, I'm losing every game. So it's like, sometimes I
Yeah.
think it just kind of, it makes a difference, partners. And like, maybe if you're a
Definitely.
very equal skill level, sure, you're figuring out together, but if someone can stop you, like Ryan Aiken said, I think at step 1, you're never
Yeah,
going to get
yeah.
to step 5.
Yes.
Then is that person really being a good partner? Just saying. I tell my guys all the time, if we're playing games, you're supposed to lose sometimes, because
Yeah.
otherwise you're just kind of being a dick to the other guy.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's not what we're doing right now. We'll do
Right,
that during
we're
rounds.
practicing.
We'll do that during rounds. But right now we're trying to make each other better. And
Right.
it sounds corny, but it's what we're doing.
You're correct, and that's a hard thing to teach to the
Yeah,
kids.
it really is. But
The
the
kids.
kids, yeah, I'll just keep yelling at them. I'll just be like, hey, let him win once,
Or like
It's
when
I
I'm
tell
like-
them that all the time.
We're like teaching a kid to like, I don't know, do a hip bump sweep, and the person getting swept is like holding onto the floor, like not letting them sweep
Yeah.
them. I'm like, no, like let them do it. Like it's their turn, So being a good partner, I think.
Yeah, I
makes-
tell them that all the time with the kids. Like, hey, you're being a bad partner.
Yes.
You gotta be a good partner.
Exactly. Exactly.
But I was gonna say with the whole like, it's kind of going back with the ego thing.
Yeah,
but
go for
yeah,
it.
it's like when you were saying about like, do you need to do a move like we're going to do A, B, C, D versus just kind of figuring it out? It's like, you know, when I like to cook. So like my other analogy with this is like when you first learn to cook, you do recipes. You go, okay, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, then I'm going to do this. But after you've done enough recipes, you can kind of just make it taste good.
Yeah. I'm not there yet, but I've heard that's true. I think I'm a good cook, but then I realize I just follow directions really well.
That's okay.
Whatever works. But that's a great example because my sister, she'll love that I'm saying this about her, but she's a great cook, and I'm always impressed because I'm great at following directions. I could cook anything. I was just saying to Yara, I'm like, I love when men are like, I can't cook. I'm like, you can't follow directions? Like, what do you mean? I just want you to follow a recipe. I don't need you to make it up. But that's a great example because you're right. That is the ultimate goal, is to not need somebody to give you step-by-step directions. But it takes a while to get there. That was a great example.
Thanks.
That was good. I'm going to use that. I can't wait to tell the kids that. Any other hot takes or anything coming up you want to talk about?
Not really.
No? All good?
Yeah.
Nothing coming up that you want to shout out? Any sponsors or anything you want to shout out? This is your moment.
those.
Really?
We're not cool enough.
You guys are very cool, actually. You guys are awesome. All right, so we know that, I'll just end it with saying we know that we have the quintet coming up March.
Survivor Series. Finisher Survivor Series is March 2nd.
Yes. And then any other dates you want to throw out that we need to remember?
Oh, the one I'm competing at the 10th Planet Femvasion. Tickets are still on sale. That's March 28th, 29th, that weekend.
Yes. And then the Finishers
Finishers Open is February 22nd.
Yes.
And that is EBI rules.
Yes. I will be there for that. Awesome. Thank you guys for coming. I appreciate it.